What's up, folks? It is game night, and we've been waiting all day, as they say on NBC, for Sunday night. And yes, it is Dallas week. Number one, the Birds are 5-0. Dallas 4-1. It is going to be the toughest game of the year so far. And I want to say for both opponents, not just for our Birds, but for Dallas as well, as DeMarcus Lawrence has some questions about the Birds that we'll get into just a little bit later on. But before we get into the Eagles conversation, before we get all amped up, before anything happens, let's not forget just what happened less than 24 hours ago, right across the street at Citizens Bank Park.
The 3-2, swing and a miss. He got him. And the ball game and the series are over. And the Phillies are headed to the National League Championship Series, as they have taken out the world champs. And this crowd can celebrate as the Phillies season will continue.
The Phillies advance to the National League Championship Series, and when a team gets hot, just like the Phillies have, look out, because there's still 8 more to go. Just 8 more wins to go. But before we get that, we got to make sure we get it one game, one win at a time. Of course, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock is where you will see all the action. And there could be, could be a pregame show before that. So tune in, check out the social media feed just so you guys can see we have the Tuesday night show. I'm pretty sure Dylan will have to jump into that one, because even though, yes, he is a Toronto Blue Jay fan because he works for them, but also he's a Phillies fan, you guys remember, because that's who he loved, raised, and grew up with, even though he's been from Florida all his life. So Phillies advance. That's a great thing. We can't wait to see what happens with the series. The sold-out crowd at Citizens Bank Park was so electric that they were actually sending out messages. According to Ken Rosenthal from Fox, he said he was getting alerts for the first time ever that the city was sending out alerts because the decibel levels had gotten that loud. So you can only imagine what it's going to be like right across the street at Lincoln Financial Field tonight, because I'm quite sure they're going to show some video montage of the Phillies end up winning it all. And I would say if I was certain, but we know the Phillies already wheels up and head out to San Diego. So we doubt to see any Phillies players tonight unless they decide to take the private jet out there. So we'll get into some Phillies talk a little bit later on. But of course, we can't start everything off either without getting a little amped up when it comes to the rivalry. So check this one out as we always get you fired up the Eagles way.
I say it takes everybody, and it really does. You know, I say we're a family, and that's the type of environment you want to be around in order to win big in the end, you know, and that takes a collective group.
Scoring! Miles Sanders complete for another first down.
Not individuals, but a collective group, a team.
We're in this position because of what we do. It has nothing to do with the teams that play.
And he is in for the touchdown. Touchdown deep for Quez Watkins. Pick 6.
It's how we prepare, how we practice.
Walks in, touchdown.
How we play for each other. You know, you don't want to make the opponent the focus.
It is intercepted. Rupture up the middle. He's in for the touchdown. Miles Sanders' Goddard is so effective. He went high into the air and came down.
You want to make your teammates and your own self the focus.
Goes in for the touchdown. Steps up. Yes. Gets the block. Touchdown.
Now, a couple of things you got to wait here before I bring not only Dylan, but joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina, the one, the only, Anthony Bleek, who will be representing his Dallas Cowboys as he talks about them. They're 4-1 record, so it'll be fun to talk to Anthony tonight. Of course, you guys have seen him before earlier on. He is the team market owner of your Charlotte Purple Jackets. In Charlotte, you guys need to represent down there because there's going to be a lot of fun activities coming out of Curry Court. A lot more information coming out with you guys in the next couple of weeks. course, tryouts, you guys can always look on the social media handle. That way you can see everything, what's going on there. And if not, go to the basketballleague.net and find out all the information that you need to find, because you can follow the teams that way as well. So a couple things to get out of the way here before I bring the gentleman on. As I said, if I can get my actual cursor to work over here like it's supposed to. One is always, don't forget to please do us a favor and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because it helps us grow just a tad bit more. And don't forget to also visit our sponsors, Philly Sports Trips, Tampa Joe's, and LGDirect.net. Of course, the studio here named in Tampa, Florida, right after LGDirect.net. So thank you, and please like and subscribe. Also, if you guys can kind of check out here a little bit, the shirt that I have on today on the backside, yes, it is the new and improved Broad Street South on the back side of my shirt here. So, of course, I can't get up and turn around, but you guys can end up seeing it there. And the reason why, everybody knows the number 20 normally is for Brian Dawkins, will always be for Brian Dawkins. But the number 20 will be because of the year that we started and kicked off the show. And that's why we have the number 20 up there. It's going to be either the number 20 or the number 12. And yes, Dylan, I see your Markelle Fultz jersey. I see it. Don't worry about it. I'll get to it in a minute. What a character. But either way, those are going to be the new shirts. We'll see. Maybe we'll have some in the merchandise. You'll never know, but we'll see. More importantly, also, the last thing I want to bring up before I bring in the show intro. Of course, you guys know that we've lost 2 family members in the last 2 months, which has been too much. On the far left of the screen in the black leather jacket is my Uncle Sal. My Uncle Sal would give his shirt, the plate, coffee, whatever he had, his car, whatever it was, that man would give everything and anything to anybody. You didn't have to know him. It's just the way the man was. Unfortunately, he lost his battle to stage 4 cancer. COVID didn't help out the situation either, because unfortunately it kind of sped the process up. But unfortunately for my uncle, he did pass away. The services will be this upcoming Friday in Springfield, Massachusetts. But I just want to dedicate this show to my uncle. He meant a lot, and he left this world as my uncle, and part of his 2 other brothers up there, Carmelo and Antonio, left him behind, but left a long living legacy. He left this man, or this planet, I should say, as a man, but arrived in heaven as a saint, because that man was nothing less than a saint. And I know you have to go through the whole Catholicism thing to go and become a saint. This man was a saint. Believe me when I tell you. So my Uncle Sal, this show's for you, and for everyone else, we thank you for tuning in to this episode 162. Dallas week, Eagles versus Dallas. Man, oh man, it's going to be a great time. So hang on. We will see you right on the other side. I'm Angel, and welcome to Broad Street South. As soon as I come up there, as far as we know, Fuji might end up being over there at the stadium. Who knows? I'm quite sure he is. I'm also quite sure he was over at Lincoln Financial Field, but in his place, as always, and don't admire the sunglasses, don't admire the hat. Once again, he's wearing his losing Toronto Blue Jays gear, because that's what he wants to represent. But nevertheless, it is our young Dylan Spalding, our Tampa correspondent. Dylan, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good, my friend. How are you? It's good to see you. Had a fun week this week. I was in Orlando, O-Town, drinking butterbeer, seeing my boy, the real number 20, Mr. Markelle Fultz. I'm sorry, Angel. I love the new swag there, and he's a Broad Street South brethren, a former Broad Street South brethren in his own right. Markelle is so, but I'm excited. Again, I got my San Diego shades on. It's gonna be beautiful, sunny. I'm telling you, it's gonna be
wait. Hold on. First of all, as Joey B says hello to all of us here, and how in the world? Come on, and right here, he follows it right behind there with Dylan. Where's Toronto right now? As they're laughing about it. Come on. Number one is you can't root for Toronto and then turn around and say you got your San Diego glasses on. What is wrong with you? Okay, let me just to get it clear for everybody.
No,
wait. Just so everybody knows. Who do you root for when you're not rooting for your team that you actually work for?
The Philadelphia Phillies. And that's what I was trying to tell you in the conversation is that I got my San Diego glasses on, ready for the Phillies game on Tuesday in San Diego. That's what I was trying to explain here. But regardless, you know what? Forget it. This is like Fuji all over again. Again,
That's right.
Mini Fuji right here, ladies and gentlemen, for filling in.
Yeah, you keep saying that to yourself, Mini Fuji, but all right. And Joey B says, how about my Giants?
Love you, Fuji.
Giants Eagles going to be something now. Yeah, they are, Joey B. That is so true. And to bring on, as I stated before, to bring on the man himself, hailing from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I got to switch back to my screen here as I take a look. And we have Sean, who's going to be coming over this here in a minute or two, but hailing from Charlotte, North Carolina, it is team market owner of your Charlotte Purple Jackets. I wish I had like a sound something for it, but
Chicago
nevertheless,
Bulls intro.
Yeah. And speaking of Sean, there he is. But no, nevertheless, it is Anthony. Anthony, welcome back to the show. Thank you for joining us. And by the way, good way to represent your Dallas Cowboys.
Nah, thank you guys. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I'm on the dark side tonight, so I'll be representing the Cowboys.
Yeah, that is so true. And coming back this evening as well, it is the Irish legend. When he's not out there dancing and doing a jig, he is here with us tonight. It is Sean Kilrain, our sports contributor. Sean, how are you this evening?
Good, man. How are you guys doing?
Good. Oh man, perfect sound, perfect picture. Sean is he's on a roll. Whatever you do from now on, do exactly what you did tonight because everything is sounding and looking good, Sean.
Thank you.
And if anyone wants to see the behind the scenes view of this show, they can see it right through my glasses too.
Oh boy, here we go. Joey B says, great to see you guys. My family is safe and sound in Sarasota. That is great, Joey. Good to hear. God bless you guys all in Florida. Yeah, because there's been a major rebuild going on here in Southwest Florida, more importantly. So it's still a task, and Ron DeSantis is doing an outstanding job. Boo Cowboys, Sean, Joey B is now there. Anthony Menino, if I'm saying it correctly. Thank you for joining us here. And Sean wins the best suburban background of the show.
Absolutely.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely.
Oh, boy. But to start this off, and I want to, because, Anthony, there's two things I'm going to show for you. One, is I talked about DeMarcus Lawrence just a little bit earlier, but I don't know where the Cowboys were going with this one. But this, to me, makes no sense because basically what they said was, Dak Prescott, you can buy your best sideline gear, and they basically mentioned Dak Prescott. So I don't know if they're talking about the hat and or the hoodie, or they're talking about you can buy Dak Prescott because it seems like they want to keep him on the sideline. Of course, it's all fun and games here, but I think they could have worded that just a little bit differently. But either way, we know what they mean. That you can get the Cowboys gear, and Dak, of course, is sporting it. And we hope that Dak gets a little bit better because I know he's dying to come back in here. But I don't know. I think your boys need to market that just a little bit better there.
Yeah, they didn't do well with the Twitter post. They didn't do well with that at all. I saw that earlier today.
I think fans would rather buy the actual hat that Dak is wearing than buy the just standard merchandise. So I'm just gonna say that.
I agree.
Oh, I'm quite sure. But listen, Dallas, I will say, normally before the season got started, right, no one knew what the NFC East was going to look like. Now, except for the Commanders, known around here as DCU, District of Columbia University. But regardless, no one knew what the NFC East was going to end up bringing out. Now, there were, of course, rumors, and everybody talked about how the Eagles could run away with the division. Did we see what was going to happen in Dallas once Dak was injured? Were we going to see what was going to happen in between there? And obviously, a backup quarterback is having an amazing run at this point. So, Anthony, 4-1. The boys are doing some amazing things here. And, of course, and when we look at it, we know that the Eagles being 5-0, and we know that Dallas defense could end up stopping the O-line, as we'll get to DeMarcus' comments here momentarily. But we know that at this point, Dallas's defense is looking to play tonight. Now, whether it'll happen or not is beyond us. But I'm going to raise a question to you. If Jerry Jones gets the green light for Dak Prescott to come back, do you stay with the hot hand, Anthony, or do you bring back Dak Prescott?
I think win or lose tonight, Dak is our quarterback. He has to come back as our quarterback.
Man.
I think you have to go back to Dak.
He's making too much money.
He gives us the best chance to win overall.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the thing about Cooper Rush right now is we haven't been challenged in the fourth quarter yet. And our defense has been really taking care of time of possession for us. So it's going to be interesting tonight to see if now there's 4 minutes to go and we got to get a score. Can Cooper Rush take us down the field and get a score? We know
Right.
Dak can. I think that's why you have to go back to Dak, win, lose, or draw tonight. After tonight, you have to, because we haven't played the last 4 minutes of a game yet.
Yeah.
And that's where it's going to get interesting.
Anthony, let's say Cooper Rush does win this game for the Cowboys tonight. Let's say, he plays a good game, continues kind of this hot hand he's been having. Do you see him possibly being a quarterback that teams may try to go after, like as somebody maybe that could fill a spot for a team next season? I mean, obviously that's a far ways away, and we don't know what some of these teams are going to be like later on in the year, but could you see Cooper Rush being a commodity for another NFL team if the Cowboys do end up saying, hey, we'll let you go to free agency, test the waters a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. He's a starting quarterback in this league. I think Dallas is going to have a dilemma at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And the problem with what's happening now is the coaching staff is being allowed to coach. When Dak comes back, are they going to go back to this just run and shoot offense where they're trying to score 30 points a game? Or are they going to allow themselves to play the way they're playing now? Manage the game, no turnovers, let our defense win the game. We have the best pass rush in the league right now.
Yeah.
Are they going to allow us to play this way, which allows us to be successful? Or are they going to let Dak come back and throw the ball 45 times and try to score 30 points and outscore everybody? I think that's where the interesting part is going to come in. But Cooper Rush is an NFL quarterback, so I don't see him being with Dallas next year. Yeah, I don't see him.
We're gonna see what's gonna happen there, because again, we've seen stranger things. Don't get me wrong, and I will say, Anthony, you haven't been part of the shows that we've done before. The one thing, and a lot of people who've tuned into our show, including the ones that are in Texas, whether being from Houston or Dallas, I mentioned before when Dak was looking to get paid that the Cowboys should have done so. Jerry Jones did the right thing, paid Dak Prescott. Now, we all know that he's probably not the best quarterback out there, but he continuously gets better. So the way Jerry Jones is, one never knows. And with Mike McCarthy, the same way. I don't know what's under Mike McCarthy's belt, because for the moment we believe at least that he would stay with Dak Prescott. But could the Cowboys be looking to also make room? Because don't forget, the salary cap is really tight when it comes to the Cowboys. So could it be a possibility that Jerry Jones says, you know what, we'll keep Cooper, we'll trade out Dak, and therefore we can alleviate some of the money off the books? So it's going to be really, really interesting to see here what's going to happen after Dak gets healthy. We all, I guess, well, let me put it this way. On the broadcasting side of the house, yes, we hope that obviously Dak comes back. On the Eagles side of the house, the fans may not want him to come back, one of the two. But again, we'll see what ends up happening here. But I'm going to get back here to a couple comments before we continue on. Joey says, even as a Giants fan, I'm pulling for your Eagles tonight. Thank you, Joey B.
Man.
To appreciate
That's actually the Eagles, it says.
It's going to be the Eagles, right? Yeah, I know what you meant there. Rick Marcus, a great friend of the show, he says, Eagles 31, Cowboys 17. I'm Rick Marcus, and I approve this message. That's the way to do it. And Cooper Rush will be playing for the Blue Jays next year.
Score, Rick.
Yeah. That is a big
score,
one.
Rick.
It is. But I don't see it that much either. I think defensively, this is going to be a powerhouse game. At least that's what I'm feeling. I don't think it's a high-scoring game by any means whatsoever. And if it is, I would be really, really surprised. And we'll all give our predictions here towards the end of the show, but we will see. But as
now,
I
guys,
mentioned,
I have a question for you guys, for the three Eagles fans on the panel.
Not me.
Angel, you said something at the top of the show that it was surprising. Did we see this coming? You guys couldn't have seen Jalen Hurts play this well. There's no way you guys saw Jalen Hurts playing this well.
I did because of what his off-season workout was with the mechanics, with the quarterback coach.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like Josh Allen, if you want to get better, you got to hone your skills. And it ain't going to happen overnight. He grabbed his wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They went out to Cali, worked on routes, worked on arm strength and all that stuff. And I think he was with a top strength coach too. So, he's playing lights out. Sky's the limit. I mean, did we think he would play like this? No, but keep it going.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say though, Anthony, was that last year when I was down in Houston, we went for a vacation. I ended up stopping by the Sports Talk 790 studios, and I got invited up by Andy Kalu and Big Sarge. When I went live on air, and Andy Kalu said, what did you think about the team, and what do you feel when it comes to Jalen Hurts? Even last year, I had stated, as much as I defended Jalen Hurts, that he was going to improve drastically compared to what he did last season, only because he knew that this offseason he had to take it not only important, but it would be the first time he's ever started with the same team in back-to-back years. So Jalen knew how much was on the line for him, and he knows what's still on the line, because don't forget, right now he's on his rookie contract. And depending on what's out there, the next year's quarterback class is not that great, but the following year, you got at least about good 8 to 9 starters coming out of the college draft. So, I mean, and who knows, there could be the next TB12 out there, not to his likes, but somewhere to like his standards and stuff, the same way there could be another Patrick Mahomes waiting out there in 2 years from now. So Jalen Hurts, for the enormous surprising start, I will agree with Sean. I think with everything that he had learned during the offseason and what he's taken in and being the first in, last out, he knows what it's going to take to be that franchise quarterback. And I'm hoping that's what he'll continue, because it's going to be hard for him to keep this up week in and week out, being injury-free. And we all hate to use that word, but it is what it is. I mean, we've seen teams like the Steelers, who've got 9 guys out of their lineup, basically their third string, beat the Bucs today. So I'm hoping that we'll see what Jalen Hurts can still do. He's had more presence in the pocket this season, more than any other time that I've seen. And I'm glad, because the O-line obviously has been stepping up for him as well. So I think for me, it's nothing but a continuation of him going up as the season continues. But as I mentioned earlier, I want you guys to hear this interview with DeMarcus Lawrence. And by any means, he didn't throw shade to anybody, so I don't want anybody to think that he's throwing any kind of shade or anything else. But DeMarcus Lawrence, I will give him a lot of respect, because he says what's on his mind. He says it tastefully. He says it with class. But at the same time, too, it's don't play with the man. So here's DeMarcus Lawrence.
I think it's still areas that he struggles in. So, just attack the areas.
Would you say it's not as hard, or would it be harder to bring him down when he's moving around the pocket? Or because you got, I don't know if you think...
All honesty, I really don't think about things like that. It's just trying to put as much pressure on the quarterback, making him uncomfortable, as much as possible. It really ain't no science to this, you know what I'm saying? Football is played at a high speed, and, being able to attack and be relentless, all 4 quarters, that's what the game is all about. So, we just play our style.
Is this the biggest challenge your defense faced this season? From an offensive standpoint?
Yes, it will be a good test for us. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, they do have a pretty good offense. They got a good receiver core, good quarterback, good offensive line. So, they well-rounded. But also, we them boys. Remember that. Don't worry about it. Y'all will see it on Sunday. So that's all it took.
You know what they can do running the football, fourth in the league right now. You guys had a really good week last week stopping the run, but there's been moments this season. What's the key to being more consistent this year?
Yeah, man. I say more technique sound. Not trying to. I feel like there's so many plays out there to be made. Everybody is going for them on our defense, so. Just being more technique sound, staying in our gaps, making sure we're not trying to, do our brother's job and just do our job.
What have you seen differently from Hurts, how he's grown? I know you guys have faced him twice as a starter, but he's taken a real step this year.
Hey, how about this? That's the last question I'm here about Hurts. For real, though.
He's talking a lot about
because I really don't care.
How unique is what they do?
Now you hear it towards the end of it where he says he's not taking any more questions about Jalen Hurts because he really doesn't care. But at the same time, too, he also mentioned it. They're them boys. Now, again, you want to talk a lot, right? Everybody's going to talk trash no matter which way you look at it. But at the end of the day, it's who's ever going to end up winning tonight. DeMarcus Lawrence, I would say, probably the most serious one out of the entire group from the Cowboys. And he knows what it's going to take to win. The same way, no different than the Eagles defense. They know what they have to do to Dallas's offense, because Dallas's offense didn't start out the best week one, but somehow or another they've been able to turn things around. So, Sean, to get to you here, what do we expect from tonight, just from the Eagles defensive side alone?
It's going to be a punch yourself in the face kind of defense, like the bully take your lunch kind of D. But I think the Eagles are up for the task. You got Lane, Kelsey, Mulata. I mean, it's going to be a very good game on both sides of the field. Offense, defensively wise for both the Eagles and Dallas, I think. So
we've seen
looking forward to it.
We've seen, Sean, obviously they've been pretty much balanced throughout the first 4 to 5 games here, and I don't think Nick Sirianni is going to get away from that too much. Would we see, by any chance, maybe Nick going to the air a little more than what he's done in the past couple of weeks? Or do we see the run game to see how much they can actually penetrate through Dallas's defense?
More of a run game and short down passes, I think, to Dallas, and maybe like a nice fly pattern to A.J. Brown, depending on how Diggs does with them. But I see a lot of run it down your throat, kill the clock. Time of possession is key. Holding that ball, get that Dallas defense tired. So that's my key to the game.
I would have to agree there, because again, this is gonna be the most explosive game that we've seen. Again, it's gonna be extremely, extremely loud over there at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be absolutely insane. And if Fuji's in the house, which I'm pretty sure he is, it's gonna be twice as loud, because you already know how it's gonna be from the night before. It's gonna be something else. So that's going to be the big thing that we're going to see tonight. Joey B says, Beast show's ending. Oh, my God. Why we can't. Joe, you have to fill us in, because obviously I couldn't see, unfortunately, to my monitor here on the left, what was going on. But listen, other than obviously Dallas, that we know it's going to be a tough matchup tonight. As I mentioned earlier, Dylan, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not playing so hot. TB12 apparently has a lot on his mind other than just football. And by the way, Sean, we'll get the injury report from you here momentarily, but TB12 not doing that great. He hasn't been in this type of situation in a long time. So does he reach out to Rob Gronkowski to basically save the Bucs year, or does he go down with the ship and just say, you know what, I'm out. See you next year, Miami?
Well, the Rob Gronkowski thing is done because Rob Gronkowski just decided to start working with Fox NFL Sunday for the rest of the season. So that is probably not going to end up happening. Rob Gronkowski is most likely done. He's probably going to have a full commitment. Also, the Bills just had the interception. That is crazy. The Bills are going to beat the Chiefs.
Buffalo just won the game.
Yeah, Buffalo just won. I have to mention that. I had to put the game on to see what happened. They just threw a pick. But back to the Bucs. I mean, It's been a tough season to start out the year. The first 2 games we looked okay. That Dallas game we were kind of stagnant, if you will, in terms of our team. We got going a little bit, but it just feels like this has been kind of an average football team. It doesn't seem like we're really up there where we were a couple years ago, where we were battling for the Super Bowl, and even last year to an extent as well, when we were really blowing teams out last year for the most part. So this is a much different Bucs team this season. We got to figure out something quick. Offensively, the team is just very average, mediocre, honestly, to be honest with you. And I don't know. I think part of it too is a lot of the injuries that we've had in the last couple of weeks, just trying to get guys healthy. And remember, this is one of the older teams in the National Football League. A lot of these guys are getting up there in age, and that's what happens when you got a win now situation. I think now at this point next season, I think the Bucs are going to be in a rebuild mode next season in 2023. So, we play Carolina this week. It's a big divisional game. You kind of don't know what you're going to get out of Carolina, being, you have Baker Mayfield out and you have now Sam Darnold under center. So you kind of don't know what you're going to get out of Carolina next week. And with it being in Carolina, it's going to be interesting. And then you look towards a short week and Thursday against Baltimore. So you got a really interesting schedule. This is not an easy schedule for the Bucs this year. This is a very tough schedule, and they got to battle their way through it if they want to get to the playoffs. Because right now, I do not see a playoff team. I may be a wild card sneak-in team, but that's it. That's all I see out of the Bucs.
All right, Theo, would probably have to agree with you on that one. And Sean did one thing, the Thursday night travesty that happened between Washington and the Bears. Now, it's probably, I will say, one of the worst games so far in the NFL, but somehow or another, the Commanders squeaked a win out. The million-dollar question is, how much longer? Because, and I wish I would have had the soundbite from Ron Rivera. First of all, Ron Rivera extremely pissed because people are saying that Carson Wentz, he's saying that's his guy. He's defending him to the very end. He's tired of people talking about Carson Wentz, like, oh, you brought him from Indy. He said he followed him when he was in Indianapolis, and that's who he wanted. So he's getting tired of hearing the questions coming from whether it be in the media or the fans in that FedEx Field of whatever kind of a stadium you want to talk about it, because that's another thing where that thing is falling apart. And it's a shame because it's really not that old. But we know that obviously Carson Wentz continues to struggle. How long, and as much as Ron Rivera is sticking up for him, how long do you think, Sean, do the Commanders actually stick with Carson Wentz?
Not long at all, because from what I just read, he has a pretty bad finger injury. He's going to go see a specialist, I think, this week. So all in all, I think he's probably done. And, I think the Washington fans want to see Taylor Hinkie because the kid did do a lot. Heineke. I think he does bring a lot to the table. But, like you said, money talks with Carson Wentz. So he's the big man on campus. But with this injury, I think he's going to take a seat. Don't look good.
Yeah. Right. Now, Anthony, here's the other thing, right? The NFC East, we mentioned it a little earlier. Obviously, you take a look at, again, all teams now in the NFC East. And we know the Giants are within our division. Didn't expect the Giants to be doing what Giants things are doing right now. Both New York teams at this point is hot, minus the Brooklyn Nets. They haven't started yet. We'll see that drama that comes out of Brooklyn. But nevertheless, Giants end up taking care of business against Baltimore. Now, Baltimore is still looking for, obviously, to sign their QB, but they're struggling. And we've seen this before with Jim Harbaugh. So are we surprised that the Giants have turned things around? And obviously, for their head coach, people are singing a lot of praises, even though initially they had no idea what was going on. So could we possibly see the Giants trying to make that divisional run with the Cowboys and the Eagles?
Very surprised about the Giants. Yeah, we really didn't. No one thought Daniel Jones was an NFL quarterback,
right?
And we didn't know what Saquon Barkley was coming back. Saquon Barkley's been spectacular, so it's kind of hard to. It's really hard to judge Giants. A lot of heart. They play with them themselves. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I think they could be disruptive down the end of the stretch. But no one saw 5-1. I saw 5-0 with the Eagles. I saw the Cowboys playing well if Dak was still here. But I never, in my wildest imagination, I thought the Giants would be closer to the Commanders than they would be to the Eagles and the Cowboys.
Yeah, and I do too. And Jody, if you're listening,
down with the coach.
Yeah, coach has brought a lot of enthusiasm there. He's brought a lot with him.
And I was going to say, who would have thought the Jets would have also had a winning record and beat the Packers today in Lambeau, by the way.
Right. That's amazing to me too, because I would have never.
That's shocking.
Again, I wouldn't know what was the Vegas odds of the actual Jets beating the Packers in Green Bay. Someone got paid today. Someone somewhere got paid, no matter which way you look at it. Because then you also take a look. I mean, New Orleans is not having the best season. Obviously, they also have to deal with a quarterback down there as well. But Cincinnati takes care of business nonetheless. Obviously, Cincinnati made that magical run last year to the Super Bowl. Will they make it again this year? Cincinnati's been playing some rough ball too. It's not like, they're the AFC favorites to go. The Bills, as Joey had mentioned, and we talked about it as well too, as the season got started, that we believe the Bills are going to be the ones representing the AFC East, or the AFC, I should say, for the Super Bowl. But We'll see, because again, they pulled off today 30-26, and then you have, and anyone can chime in on this one, because you have Minnesota beating Miami. Now, to make it fair for Miami, obviously they had Tua go down on injury. You also had Teddy Bridgewater going down on injury. You got your third string quarterback in there. So to give Minnesota a bunch of praise today, yes, they did win nonetheless, but I can't give them high praises either, because right now Miami's without a quarterback, if you really take a look at it. So I guess, Dylan, I'll throw it to you. I mean, is what's going to happen of Miami, and can they turn things around once Tua comes back?
Oh, I think they will. I think Tua has actually shown this season, like, I think the Dolphins, if they would have had Tua healthy, I think the Dolphins would be, up there 5-1. I think that the Dolphins are a very scary team. And when we saw them, they literally came back and beat the Ravens. Now, granted, the Ravens haven't been playing too very well this season, but regardless of that, I mean, the Dolphins are a team that, when Tua is healthy and when everybody is on point, man, they're a scary football team. And it's been a really crazy year this year, really has. And you've seen a lot of guys who are backups who have been making a lot of noise. I mean, today, Seattle and Geno Smith ended up winning and beating the Cardinals today, and now they're tied for the division lead with the 49ers and the Rams. Like,
right.
It's kind of been the year of the backups, if you will. I mean, heck, the Patriots beat the Browns with a third-string quarterback in Bailey Zappi, who was with the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers last year. By the way, Zappi's a great quarterback. He broke Burrow's touchdown record last season. Like, that says something. It's a smaller conference that he was in, but that says something. So, it's been really interesting to see, but I do think once Tua gets healthy, Tua hopefully will get back going again. Maybe that first game is kind of a warm-up game for him, but I think him and the Dolphins will get back on track. That's a very scary football team.
Yeah.
Nope, it is.
Outside of Buffalo, there's maybe 7 or 8 other teams that could win a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like, for once,
yeah, change it up a little bit. I'm tired of seeing the same old stuff. Make it more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I think there's a third of the league that could legitimately win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
If things work
for sure. Yeah.
All right. So going around the room here, then does anyone believe the Rams are going to be repeating Super Bowl champions?
No.
No.
Not at all. Not at all. It's too tough of a season. I think there's as Anthony, you mentioned, that's I think perfectly what you said is I think there's too many teams that are really contending this year. Everybody improved. I think the Rams actually took a step back this season. They lost a few key players that they had. They lost Von Miller. That was a huge loss to have a guy like
Whitworth
that.
On the O-line.
Whitworth.
That was
he
great.
retired. Odell is gone too. I mean, having Odell, he's a sneaky receiver. He's a top, 1-2 kind of guy in a receiving core. So yeah, I mean, I don't think the Rams. I think they could get to the playoffs. I don't think they'll have a run like they did last year though.
I think Stafford's elbow is really hurting them, and they're just not saying it because as it was in week 1, because you could see it.
And even though they didn't show up today, San Francisco is going to get up for LA. San Francisco is going to get up for the Rams every single time.
Yeah,
Jimmy G got a bad taste in his mouth as well.
Yeah,
with the
they're going to get up for those guys.
Oh, absolutely.
It does. Then it still brings up the conversation with Jimmy G. What does San Fran do with Jimmy G? And is there a team, because we know there's some teams right now, I'm pretty sure Miami will have his services at this point until they figure out what's going to happen, because number one is you cannot rush Tua back. Even if they say, you know what, he's clear to come back next week, do not rush him back. That was ridiculous with what Miami did to Tua. A young man who didn't deserve to get, back-to-back. And first they said it was a back injury. When he got up and he stumbled, he went back down. Then you put him in, 4 days later to basically get pummeled all over again. And then today there was another one. And I keep mentioning this over and over. And I know there's been people that love to make the argument. The helmet to helmet one day is going to paralyze another player. And I don't know what it is with these guys. Like I don't understand. And I don't want to go into a rant about it, because what is so hard for you guys to understand? It must be a bounty or something out there, because that helmet to helmet is going to injure someone permanently. And if no one learned from Junior Seau, from all them injuries that he had, and eventually end up taking his own life. And everybody can say whatever they want to as far as when it comes to junior seau, but it showed that he had all kinds of problems with his brain from all those contacts he ended up making. So for me, do not rush Tua back. Even with Teddy Bridgewater, same exact way too. At this point, take an extra 2 losses, hope you can win 2, and then make the bounce back. There's still another half of the NFL season to go. But there's no reason to keep rushing these guys back. But I don't know what it's going to take for the NFL to make these guys understand that you can't do it. We saw it with Jalen Hurts, Sean. What was it? Week 1 of the preseason, they tried to take him out in the sideline. Yeah. He's already 2 yards into the sideline, and here comes the helmet coming flying across.
Yeah, against the Jets. Yeah, I mean, all in all, these guys know how to tackle. You put your head outside, this and that. But like you said, there's some guys that with reckless abandonment, like that want to go after a guy, spear him. Like your Chuck Cecil from the Arizona Cardinals back in the day. It's just making the game bad. With the poor tackling, the late hits, and all this other stuff. But what happened to Tua, like you said, was pretty scary, man.
Yeah.
And
here's the problem with
the
Miami.
NFL is advising.
Here's the problem with Miami, though. Miami can't. The reason why they're going to rush Tua back against everyone's concerns is New England and the Jets are still winning.
Yeah.
And in this league, winning matters. You have to win. And Miami can't afford 2 more losses with the Jets winning and New England winning. New England went to Cleveland today and dominated. So
28-9.
It's going to be really interesting at how they push Tua because, you're moving into the second half of the season and now you're 3 or 4 games behind. You're not catching Buffalo. So if you got any shot, if you got any shot, you're going to have to beat the Jets and New England.
Yeah, I mean, right now you look at the NFL, it's Buffalo, Buffalo and Philly, and then you got like KC, and then it's like everybody else is like below them right now, and that's how it is right now in the NFL. And you mentioned with the Tua situation, it's a weird situation because that week was kind of weird. It was like they said he was cleared, and obviously you hope that you could trust your doctors in that situation, but it's also one of those things where you had a scary situation happen that Sunday. That he fell down, as you mentioned, Angel. So it was a very weird situation. I would have probably said keep him out, especially since it was a Thursday game. And you mentioned not rushing him. As you mentioned, Anthony, it's again they're going to be trying to get him in as quick as possible, and that's the unfortunate part. But it's also the part of the game as well. And I'd imagine Tua would like to get probably back into the playing a bit as well. I mean, he's a competitor. He's an athlete. He's going to want to get back out there and play as soon as he possibly can. So if he's cleared and they say he's cleared, and I hope that they actually say for sure he's cleared, then that'll be a good thing. And again, we'll see what happens, but. Yeah, these helmet to helmet contact you mentioned, it's tough because again, it's a double-edged sword. You got guys who unintentionally are doing it because, they're just trying to, make a play and they're playing, they're being a football player. That's what you're supposed to do. Try to make the play, try to make the tackle and such. And then you got guys who, as you mentioned, sometimes it just happens. It's a really tough situation to, it's a tough thing to talk about. It's tough to decipher on stuff like that. So.
No, it is. That it definitely is. As we get ready to wrap up the show, but before that, we get into some Phillies talk here. As obviously we know they're going over to the NLCS. The Yankees obviously are seen if they're actually going to go to the ALCS, but right now not looking too good for the Yanks. It might be good for the Guardians, which I still think they should have been the Cleveland Indians, but again, that's for other people to I guess get into. But Sean, before we switch over to the Phillies, the injury report. What do we know, and who's out for the game?
As of right now, you got Ian Book, Josh Joby, Reed Blankenship, Trey Sermon, Josh Stills, and Tayron Jackson out for the Eagles.
Well, that's thankfully not too bad as far as the key players, but nonetheless, it's still, we just hope that it's minimal injury as far as tonight when it comes to tonight's game. Obviously, that's going to be coming on here in about 8:30, so just about 40 minutes or so, the Eagles will end up kicking it off. But We all know the excitement still built in Philly right across the street yesterday. Again, less than about 24 hours. Well, I guess 24 hours ago at this point now. Phillies end up advancing, being the hottest team in the majors right now.
Yeah,
Mets
man.
obviously were chosen to win a division, and the Mets took themselves out. Then you got the Braves, who was, of course, the last year World Series champions, who fought it out with, obviously, the Mets, end up winning the division. 5th year in a row that Atlanta wins the division, but exit out by the Phillies. Phillies, of course, took care of business in St. Louis and got rid of the Cardinals as well. So now they travel to San Diego Tuesday, Wednesday, 7 o'clock start. Thankfully for us here on the East Coast, that's great because normally, if we remember, come 2008, when they played the Dodgers, it was a 10:45 start, and it just seemed like forever for that game to be over. And I remember many sleepy days going to work just to see exactly what's going to end up happening. But, Anthony, we also learned that you're a San Diego Padre fan. We won't hold it against you. We understand.
No, just for these 2 weeks. I'm a Mets fan. I'm a huge Mets fan.
Yeah, so we know that now you're going to be a San Diego fan. But listen, the Mets, okay, number one, you guys have a basically a tycoon who has investments into the Mets. They lose, and the very next day he comes out and he says, we're going to spend even more money than they spent this year. Okay, so he's worth, that we know of, $17.9 billion. Yet you put the money into the Mets this year, and how did it work out for the Mets?
What happened with the Mets? What happened with the Mets is, and everybody, and it's hard to judge them. Like, it's hard to judge at this point. We had the best 2 pitchers in baseball. You have Scherzer, you have DeGrom. So you think in a short series, you're going to always win Scherzer and DeGrom. And it didn't happen. So they didn't reinforce anywhere else. They didn't reinforce the middle of the bullpen. Edwin Diaz was amazing this year, but they didn't reinforce the rest of the bullpen because you always thought no matter what, you were going to win those 2 games. And then Scherzer got hit hard in the Atlanta series. DeGrom got hit hard in the Atlanta series. Then you turned around and played San Diego, and they got hit hard again. And then, you can't recover from that. When your best 2 players are not playing well, you can't recover from that. The Mets weren't built to score 5 runs a game. They weren't winning that way all year. They were single, 3 hits, score a run, 3-0, 4-1 wins with great pitching, and then Edwin Diaz at the back. But when Scherzer gives up 3 home runs and it's 7-0, in the 5th inning, you can't recover from that. You're just not. And so, and now the problem is they're going to lose half the team because, half of the team are free agents. You're going to lose DeGrom probably. You're going to lose Nemo. You're going to lose half the team. So it's going to be hard to replace those guys.
Mm-hmm. Right,
but I say go get Aaron Judge and Shohei and call it a day. Make it easy.
I was going to say, I think
Judge is going to the Giants.
Well, I was going to say Shohei, too, signed a contract with the Angels for a year, so he might be a trade guy next season. But, a team that's going to be interesting is the Atlanta Braves, though. Like, to see the contracts and the way that their contracts are structured, like, everybody's under contract for this Braves team through, 2026. Like, it's ridiculous, how much of their core they're going to keep. Like, the Braves are going to be a legit thorn in everybody's side coming into next season.
Oh yeah.
And what they've been able to do and keeping a lot of their main guys is massive to the success of that team. And as you mentioned, Anthony, with a lot of the guys leaving the Mets, it's going to be interesting to see kind of where the Mets end up going next year. I do think they will be a good team, and I think they'll be competitive if they can bring a decent amount of the guys back and they, fill some spots up. And, losing DeGrom will be definitely disappointing, but also he's dealt with a lot of injury as well. So it's kind of like you're also losing the injury side of DeGrom as well. So it's a tough situation, but, it's going to be interesting to see what the Braves can do here heading into the next couple of years with a lot of their talent, especially 5 division titles. That's crazy.
It is crazy. But Anthony, do you really think though that the Mets ownership would actually get rid of DeGrom? They won't even try to make a run?
It's going to be tough because he's going to want best pitcher money.
Yeah,
he's 34. He's going to be 34. He's been injured the last 2 or 3 years. He only made 11 starts this year. Do you want to pay a 34-year-old pitcher when you got Scherzer for 2 more years at $40 a year? Are you going to pay DeGrom $40 a year? And really throw your salary cap off whack. That's going to be the problem with DeGrom. If he comes back at the price he played this year, then I say sign him. But he's not going to want that. He's going to want the money they owed him from the 2 Youngs that they never gave him. He's going to want Scherzer money.
Yeah,
that's where it's going to get tough.
That is,
I see him
Sean,
walking.
Sean, you had mentioned it. Why do you think that Aaron Judge would end up with the Giants?
Hometown from Cali, and they got the money, and I think they would love to have that.
Yeah.
No, I think so. I think
That'd be
Aaron Judge.
pretty neat.
Yeah, he will not be a Yankee next year. He definitely won't be a Yankee. He'll be on the West Coast.
What were you gonna say, Dylan?
I said that'll be awesome. Have him hit balls into McCovey Cove out there in right field. I mean, it'll be a lot of fun out there in McCovey Cove during batting practice. I could very well see Judge go to San Francisco. I think you look at San Francisco, they were just a playoff team 2 years ago, and they had 106 wins. They were one of the best teams in baseball under Gabe Kapler. So this is a team that knows that they can get to the playoffs. And this year they were very close to doing it. They just fell short by a little bit. And I think if they could get Judge and he could put together anywhere close to what he had this year, I mean, that's a really scary, scary team next year for the Giants. And it always feels like the Giants are always a team too that they have a competitive team like every 2 years. Like they always make it to the playoffs. They find a way to get to the World Series here every couple of seasons. Like the last 10 years, the Giants have dominated in Major League Baseball, to be honest.
All right. Well, listen, I don't want to get into predictions for the Phillies yet because the series has not started. And I'm enjoying still the win coming off of as we make the travel to San Diego. So maybe we'll get into it on Tuesday night because I don't want to predict it yet. Although I'm pretty sure Anthony hopes that the Padres will end up winning it, but it's not. Listen, matter of fact, Andy, we will make you a Phillies honorary captain so you can join us instead of joining the Padres.
I'm all in because the Padres eliminated the Mets. So, yeah, let's go Philly. Still an East Coast guy.
See, and that's the way you do it. That's exactly the way you do it. But before we end the show here, I'd like to get some predictions as far as tonight. So, Sean, you being our sports contributor, what do you believe will be the final score tonight in the Eagles versus Dallas?
24-20 Eagles. It's going to be a defensive battle on both sides of the field.
All right, Dylan?
Well, being a Bucks fan, I would love to see 0-0 tied game, but because I know that's definitely not going to happen tonight, I'm going to go 31-20. I'm going to say 24. 31-24. I'm going to have the Eagles winning late in this game too. I think it's going to be a fun one tonight, especially in Philly. I think the crowd's going to be rocking tonight. It's going to be a fun one.
Oh, it's definitely going to be amazing. And Anthony, 2 things I'll get from you. One will be the score prediction, but also please let everyone know exactly how to find you out on social media, number 1, and let them know as far as your team market ownership.
Okay. The basketball part is I'm the team market owner in the TBL for the Charlotte Purple Jackets. I'm a 3rd-year owner, but 1st year in Charlotte. So looking forward to bringing basketball here. You can find us at QC Purple Jackets on Twitter and Instagram. And, we have a great group of people. We're looking forward to a lot of good things. We have tryouts this Sunday. So if anybody's interested in coming to Charlotte for professional basketball, we have tryouts this Sunday at Curry Court, home of the Curry family, Dell, Steph, and Seth. So, come on out. My prediction for tonight, I think 2017 Cowboys. Now that's based on if the front 7 plays well. Dallas's front 7 plays well and can keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket, put some pressure on him, and make him a quarterback tonight. Our secondary is horrible. But if Jalen Hurts is back there running around and he has some time to throw the ball, then the Eagles will win 31-14.
Yeah.
Oof, that's a big.
We really on the Dallas front 7.
Yeah, that would be huge if it ends up happening. But to me, I'm kind of on the fence here because I think it could possibly be a high scoring game just because they both know what's at stake here. Eagles obviously know they're the last undefeated team when it comes to the NFL, but Dallas as well trying to make that super statement saying that obviously they're not gone from the NFC East and they've been proving that week in and week out. So I would almost say it would be somewhat of a high scoring affair. I mean, it could be 35-28, but I think you're looking at maybe 21 all in the first half, even going to the third, and then someone breaks out on the second half of the game. So I'm going to go 35-28 Eagles, and we'll see. We'll see what happens at the end, and hopefully we walk away 6-0. If not, then I'll be eating a lot of crow, unfortunately, because of all the videos and everything else I end up showing, and who knows? We'll see exactly what ends up happening. But listen, Anthony, thank you once again for joining us. And as always, you can come back as many times throughout the season as you would like. Not as much for Dylan because Dylan likes to come and go. When he's not as a superstardom or anything else, he likes to,
I've had more free time. Come on, listen. And Anthony, I meant to tell you too. I have a good marketing idea for, or like a hashtag idea. Because obviously you said your team name is the Purple Jackets. I thought about a good hashtag for you. Join the Hive. I don't know what you think about that.
Oh, we are going to use that.
Okay, I like it.
We need your permission. We're using that.
Yeah, you are more than welcome to. I will say this: you can use it as long as you send me like a T-shirt or something like hat or something. We will have a deal right there.
I got you and Sean for all the Purple Jackets beer you guys want.
Perfect. But
nice, thanks.
But yeah, excited for this game tonight. It should be a fun matchup. Eagles and Dallas. Again, don't care who wins because I am a Bucs fan. But hey, I'll be rooting for the Eagles because I don't really like the Cowboys. Sorry, Anthony. But
hey guys, Yankees are up 3-0.
Ooh, wow.
Well, let's see if they can close it out. But by the way, Anthony, you could have sent him a crayon book and a glass of milk, and he would have been just fine. Because again, he's only 15 years old, so he would have been just fine with that as well. But nevertheless, thank you, Dylan, for coming on. Sean, of course, jumping on with us as a sports contributor. Debbie taking care of business over there in Studio B. We thank you, everyone, from tuning in stateside, South America, overseas. We cannot do the show without your support, and we truly do appreciate it. Also, don't forget, like and subscribe. Go to broadstsouth.com. Make sure you check out everything that's there, our past episodes, audio downloads that you guys will find here tomorrow morning when it comes to this side for those who missed it. And more importantly, don't forget to visit thebasketballleague.net as well. Keep up with the teams, support your local teams, and definitely support your Charlotte Purple Jackets as they will be on fire this season. Why do I know this? I don't know, but there'll be an announcement coming up about it. So don't forget, everyone, please tune in, week out. And as we say every single week, Dylan, what? Don't say, do not say, go Blue Jays. Do not say it.
I'm not going to say it. I'm going to mix it up because Tuesday is a big night for me. Go Magic.
Oh, good Lord. See, I gave him an out and see what happens. Sean, take us out, Sean.
Have a good one, fellas, and go Birds.
There you go.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, guys, thank you.